The biggest thing we're going to have to watch on draft night is when do the wide receivers begin to fall off the board? Because I believe as soon as the first guy goes off the board, the other three aren't going to last long.
Hail the cowboy, Mr. McLean. You Americans are all alike. But this time, John Wayne doesn't walk into the sunset with Grace Kelly. Scary Cooper, asshole.
Oh, Diva! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! That was crazy!
Happy trails, Hans.
Dallas still stinks.
Everybody doing? King Dingbat here, and let me first start off by saying thank you for clicking this video. I know I've been putting out a lot of stuff lately, and I appreciate you guys watching it. I really do. Matter of fact, I got a video to do right after this one. That's how much stuff I've been putting out. But the way I see it is, we're all under house arrest. We're all excited about the draft, and it's less than a week away. And every day that goes by gets one day closer to the draft. Tick-tock, mother humper. So I'm going to pump out as much as I can because this is the most important draft since Carson Wentz was drafted. We have to get this right. It is important. All hands on deck. We got to do what we got to do. Now, I will be streaming the draft. I will be live for at least the first 2 days of the draft. So make sure if you haven't, hit the subscribe button, hit that dingbat bell. That way you're notified when the dingbat himself is live. You don't want to miss it. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? Who the hell knows? Now, before I get into the draft part of this video, I want to answer a question that I just got flooded with today. It was a little bit surprising to me, but a lot of people want to know, what are my thoughts about the Eagles bringing back Trey Burton? Because Trey Burton, I think it was according to Ian Rappaport, that he's going to be cut by the Bears, and he's going to be a free agent. Would I want Trey Burton back? And it's an interesting question because for me personally, on a personal level, I go much deeper than just adding a third tight end. I'm thinking about, what about the future of my first tight end? What's the future of my second tight end? Those kind of things. But I'm not going to get into that part of it. Just based upon what we know of Trey Burton from his time in Philly, and what he did and how good he looked. Look, I thought he was going to be like a possible Pro Bowl type tight end for the Chicago Bears. I thought he was going to be very successful. He got injured. He's still hurt. I think he should be good to go going into next season. So Trey Burton is a good player when he's healthy and he's playing, he's on the field. He's a good contributor. I think he's a much more talented player than a third string tight end, but he's not as good as Dallas Goedert, okay, and obviously not as good as Ertz, so he would have to come into Philly and be the third tight end on this team, meaning he would probably have to take a minimum contract, a player's minimum. You couldn't pay him that much. How much are you going to pay the third string tight end? He's definitely better than Perkins, and he's a very good special teams player. He's 28 years old. I think he turned 28 in October, so he'll be 29. So he's still okay. I wouldn't mind bringing in Trey Burton on a minimum player deal, so he's not making that much money, and as my third string tight end who's willing to play special teams. The Eagles do use a lot of 12 and 13 man personnel, so he would get some time on the field. I'm not opposed to it, actually. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. And look, if you bring him in, I'm going to say this, and I know some people don't like to hear it, but if I bring him in, there's nothing wrong with picking up a phone and calling some teams and getting a gauge of what Zach Ertz's value is if you were to trade him. Okay, I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm not saying that it's necessary. All I'm saying is you might as well engage in it and just engage in conversation. Just let's find out what his value is, because maybe it's a lot more than you think it would be. Who the hell knows? Let's look at it. Remember, Ertz has got 2 years left on his contract. Dallas Goedert has 2 years left on his contract. 3 years from now, I don't think both those guys are going to be on this roster. I think it's going to be just one guy. But we're going to find out. But look, bring in Trey Burton, not a bad idea. If it's a cheap deal and he's willing to be the third tight end, that's fine. I don't know if he thinks he can. He may want to be at least a backup tight end somewhere. So I don't know. It's interesting. We'll keep our eye on it, definitely. Now, regarding the draft and draft night, the most important thing that's going to be going on in the first round that I'm going to be keeping my eye on is when the first wide receiver comes off the board, okay? The moment that first wide receiver comes off the board, I expect a run on the top 4 wide receivers. And I'm talking about Lamb, Jeudy, Ruggs, and Jefferson, okay? So depending upon, most likely it's going to be Lamb, when he goes, it's going to tell us who the Eagles have a chance to get, whether they stay, trade up, or whatever they're going to do. But really, we need to get lucky. We need to get lucky and have these guys fall back a couple extra picks. So at least one of them or 2 of them are in our range to at least trade up. Now, I'm going to not talk too much about trading up in this video because my next video that I'm doing right after this is going to deal with that subject specifically. So in this video, I want to kind of talk about where I think the first wide receiver off the board is most likely to go, and where I would like to see the first wide receiver off the board go, okay? I personally think that the team you have to worry about is at the Jets at number 11. I think the Jets at 11 could take the first wide receiver. Now, there's reports that they're in love with Henry Ruggs, and let me tell you, I'm a big Henry Ruggs guy. It would not surprise me one bit if Henry Ruggs was the first receiver off the board, okay? And the Jets, who knows? I mean, Jets always screw things up anyways. Most likely they'll take Jefferson at 11, and we'll all be like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Although some of you guys like Jefferson out there, and I do too. I just don't think he should be the first receiver. But the Jets screw things up. Maybe they'll take a kicker. Who the hell knows? But the Jets probably, most likely, in my opinion, are going to take a receiver at 11. Then the Raiders are going to feel, hey, we better take one now. So then they're going to take one. Then the 49ers at 13 are going to say, we might as well take one of these guys now. So then you're going to have, literally, I think you're going to have 3 receivers in a row off the board. Now, you have Jefferson left. You have teams like Denver who definitely need a wide receiver. It wouldn't surprise me. This really wouldn't surprise me that once you see like Lamb or Jeudy or whoever go off with the first pick, the first receiver off the board, you may see the next pick, receiver, the pick after that, receiver. It's going to be something like that. What we need is this draft to fall in a way that the Jets have to take an offensive tackle. That they take offensive tackle, maybe a couple offensive tackles fall back, and the Jets take one, okay? That would be the greatest thing. If we have a situation where you got quarterbacks and tackles kind of going off early, and let's say if we could get in a position where, let's say somehow the first receiver off the board is 12 or 13, well, maybe not 12, but like 13, like the Niners, they get the first receiver, their first choice, then we're going to probably guaranteed, I think that at the very least, Jefferson's going to be there. And maybe, some of these other guys fall. We need a break. We need a break. We need this thing to fall. Maybe a team like the Raiders trade back and somebody comes up and takes another player, and maybe we can get some of these receivers to fall. I'm telling you, if we could get where there's no receivers off the board at 13, we're good. We're good. We're going to probably get one of the top 4. And if you don't want one of the top 4 and you rather have Mims, I think Mims will probably be there at 21. The question is, and the debate that I've heard is whether any team's going to take him at 21. There are reports that Minnesota really likes him, but we just don't know. I've also heard Minnesota really likes Jefferson. So who knows? But the way this draft board is going to fall and how it's going to work out, we need a break, because if there's a situation, like I said, where the Jets take a receiver, I think the Raiders take one, and then I think the Niners, and then I think Denver. I think, boom, you got a lot of receivers off the board really quick. And then what's scary is, let's say all 4 are off the board, who's going to get desperate for Mims and be scared the Eagles are going to take him and then jump up, or Rager or somebody else? So it's really interesting how this draft is going to fall. But the longer that number 1 wide receiver stays on the board, the better off we are. So I'm hoping that the Jets take offensive linemen. Now, there are reports also, I've heard some Jag fans say that they think, what do they have, the 9th pick, that they should take CeeDee Lamb. That would be horrendous. If one of these receivers like Jeudy or Lamb go in the top 10, we're screwed. Dude, these receivers are going to come off the board so quick. It's going to be bad. You know, we need to get lucky. And that's what's exciting about the draft. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I'm going to be like this. That's why you want to be here live, because it's going to be crazy. But I'm hoping that none of these receivers go within the top 10. I'm hoping the Jets skip them at 11. And I'm hoping for some reason the Raiders, I think they have the 12th and 19th pick, something like that. I'm hoping that the Raiders, what's the second pick? I forget what the Raiders are, but they have 2 picks. Hopefully they say, no receivers are off the board yet. We'll wait until our second pick with one, and they don't take one. Something like that. We need to get lucky. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We got to get lucky. But where that first receiver goes off the board is the key to what happens with the Eagles. If the Jets skip them at 11, and I think the Jets are the big if. Okay, if they skip a receiver at 11. And all 3 on the board when the Raiders are picking at 12. The Eagles are in play, man. We are in play for one of the top 4 wide receivers. No question about it. So, and preferably one of the top 3. But like I said, I'll get into that in my next video. So what do you guys think? When do you think the first wide receiver is going off the board? Because I'm telling you, that's the key to the whole first round for the Eagles. The first receiver off the board, when and where he goes, is going to make a difference, a huge difference on what the Eagles do, whether they trade up, whether they trade back, whether they stay at 21. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I guess I'll be back a little bit later with another video. Take care, talk to you later, don't be a dingbat.